Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about the landscape of lighting, but what I'm going to talk about really is one element which will lead to another interesting element. Oh, I've gone forward. So that's me. Give you a quick background of myself, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to grab some water. I am Stewart Langdown, and thank you for that introduction. I've been doing lighting controls now for too many years, probably 25 plus years. Starting in the early days, looking at componentry into control systems, and more recently I'm focusing on sort of connected technology. So I'm going to talk about trends related to IoT, general lighting control, specification of lighting control, and really maybe a layman's term of what is IoT and what that impact would be on lighting. So it could be the Internet of Things, or it could be the Internet of Nothing. So a great source for information is good old Wikipedia. And I love this because really, at the end of the day, it gives you the bare bones of what this is as a technology. Now, simply put, it's really looking at, the connected world, how we connect devices, and really the framework associated with those connected devices. So it's a network of connected bits, shall we say, bits and pieces, switches, sensors, networks. Now, network is a greatly overused term. It means everything. It means something like a computer network, lighting network. It could mean an HVAC network. And this is part of the challenge. The whole idea of where lighting goes now is really linked into what you connect it to. And this is really perhaps the single biggest challenge we have. So a network is a link of embedded sensors, software, accessories, electronic devices, and it allows you to exchange data. Now, data is a great tool, and I'll talk about data a little bit later on. But within a lighting environment, it can be useful. So data tells you when someone's in a room, it tells you when they're not in a room, it tells you when your lights are on, lights are off. It tells you, are you using the space correctly? Now, this is a big advantage of connected environments where it says, do I really need that space? Am I actually utilizing the space correctly? So IoT is no different to any other system. And lighting systems are no different to anything else in the world. You have hardware, you have a driver, you have a sensor, you have a group of devices that are basically linked together to create a network. The network is the infrastructure, that's the wiring, the glue that holds it all together. Now, interesting, in the lighting environment, wireless is king. Everyone wants to go down a wireless route. Which wireless route should you go for? What's the right wireless route? If you are members of the Connected Lighting Alliance, you would say that Zigbee might be the way to go. If you're aware of the recent trends, you'll be aware of Bluetooth and Bluetooth 5. And the fact that DALI AG, or DIA as they are now, have been working with Bluetooth SIG to incorporate Bluetooth into a gateway with DALI. So you've got DALI Bluetooth. So you've got a sort of pseudo network. So suddenly you've got a standard associated with lighting. Now, in practice, the only standard really for lighting is DALI, because it's the only one that determines how you can turn it on, off, dim up, dim down, but it's a protocol, it's not a system. Linking Bluetooth allows you to expand that to give you greater connectivity, but it's not a Bluetooth system. At the back of that, you have to have a framework, an infrastructure. And that infrastructure can be anything you like. So it could be KNX, it could be 6LoWPAN, it could be an IP network, whatever you choose. Now, this is where the problems come. This is where it becomes challenging, shall we say. So let's do a little IoT SWOT analysis. And this applies really to lighting control generally. So we look at strengths and weaknesses. Okay, we've got we're connected, we've got data, we've got energy savings, we've got efficiency gains. So we've got a situation where we are able to basically obtain information within that space. We're able to link more one device together. So that means I don't get redundancy in the systems. It means that I have a systems that turn off lighting, turn on lighting. It makes the space if you like, more user-friendly. The weaknesses of that are that we're very bad at lighting controls generally. Who takes the design responsibility for lighting controls? Who does design your lighting controls? When you get a specification from a mechanical electrical engineer or design engineer, he will say, I want lighting controls. But he doesn't determine what that space is and what you do with it. He doesn't determine the usage of that space. And really, if you think about commissioning, we never properly commission lighting management systems. There is a term called POE, which doesn't sound, which is probably not the term you're thinking of, which is Power over Ethernet, but post-occupancy evaluation. It's looking at a space and saying, when I move into that space, how do I know really how to gear that lighting to that proper utilization of that space? A good example, we design spaces to blanket illumination across a whole floor plan. But in practice, I only need to light the task to a particular light level. The background levels, typically corridor levels, I can have much lower levels. So I need to really focus lighting where it's important. And the other thing to bear in mind really is the aesthetics of what you're trying to light. So commissioning is a big problem when we get into connected systems, because at the end of the day, who really owns the system? Opportunity. Lighting will change. Lighting will not be just lighting. Lighting will become a service. A lot of companies now don't own their IT. They actually use IT as a service. They basically, like buying a car. People don't buy cars anymore now. They basically lease a car. It's a service. Lighting as a service may be where we will go in the future. If you think about opportunities like Li-Fi, where we're beaming data over lighting, and we're using lighting to communicate with our smartphones and laptops, walking around all the time holding your phone. It's not the way we're going to communicate. It might be great working at a desk. It might be a snazzy way of sending information. But practical point of view, we need to look at who owns lighting. When can you get the benefit of upgrades? LEDs have been around for many years. LEDs are accepted as a green, efficient light source. They've got good life, good color rendering, good quality, great design. As a company, we're pretty much 92% diversified into LED. In fact, we're making a decision really probably later this year to go completely LED and just offer probably 1 or 2 products for some accounts in probably the Middle East where they still buy fluorescent technology. But realistically, if you've got in 5 years' time the opportunity to upgrade your lighting and get additional savings in energy, why wouldn't you do it? But then do you need to rip out your infrastructure, or can you just upgrade? So part of what we're talking about really is bolt-ons, accessories. How do you upgrade the software and firmware in your device? I talked about Bluetooth and Bluetooth 5. Within a smart device, you can have a thing called a bootloader. A bootloader is what's in your phone and it's in other bits of technology and says, okay, I can do an upgrade. So why can't I upgrade my lighting? And the practical point of view, I think that will come. But that's why you need to enter into maintenance contracts and you need to think about lighting more as a service. It's also the fact that how we specify lighting has got to change. Now, part of the area we're involved in is obviously safety critical lighting, and that's emergency lighting and testing, monitoring and safe evacuation of buildings. That itself really gives you some interesting challenges and opportunities. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Biggest threat to IoT, any lighting control system, is security. I was having a chat to the IT guys at the top who gave me an interesting website, which I won't say because it was quite rude, but it's the internet of something that's not good. And you can go and get a Bluetooth mug or, all sorts of really interesting, useless bits of information that you can link into your system. But bear in mind, you buy a dumb device, you put it onto your network, and suddenly you've compromised security. The reason why Bluetooth 5 has taken so long to come to market with DALI is it's nearly a year looking at the security aspect of it. Because you need to lock down and ensure that system is safe and secure. Because you're not just talking about closed loop systems. You're now saying in theory, I can have a lighting control system that's controlled off my mobile phone, off a wearable device, off an RFID tag, and all sorts. Now I'm going to argue that really, that's great, but who takes responsibility for it? And that's going to be a huge challenge. So moving forward, why do we need it? Why do we need IoT? Why do we need smart lighting? Well, I suppose looking at it, it makes us efficient. We are not very good. We're not very efficient as individuals, as people who own spaces. If you work in an office, how many people are allowed to control their lighting in their office space? Very few. If we think about further on, energy is going to go up in cost. We know this. We're all green. We've seen the rise in energy costs. It's also about demands as well. We can't meet demands. One of the areas I think there's going to be a huge investment is local storage of energy, which suits LED lighting and also smart controls. But be sensible. Why waste money? Save it. Also, for me, it's about safety. Technology is good because it tells you when someone is somewhere and when they're not somewhere. And it's a great way of recording what they're doing. And it gives you information. Information's king. Now, information's king, also a bad thing as well. You know, a lot of information is good. It's only good if you use it. If you store data for the sake of data, then you just end up with a lot of data. So it's about productivity. It's make us more efficient. Now, everything I'm talking about we can do today, but we choose not to because of the way we procure lighting. Let's take safety as a good example. If we think about safety in lighting, everyone talks about the cloud. The cloud's the future. Everything's in the cloud. I save my photos to the cloud. I'm sure most people do. But if you think about this as a general view of what people expect in the way moving forward, smart cities, traffic management, smart lighting. I control space and movement of people in a building. I can herd people by using lighting to drive people in and out of spaces. I can use signage to direct them, and I can control the flow of traffic. In a stadium, for example, I control how people exit the stadium. Smart homes, security is great. We can all now log into our home, have Alexa, turn your lighting on and off. I can use remote controls. I can even have, my brother, in fact, has got an app that unlocks his front door. Yeah, very clever. And we spent hours playing around with it, and it's a great idea, but infinitely hackable. Keys still work quite well. Industrial. This is good, really. I think industrial applications work well because for PLC type applications where they're used for very few nodes, it's great to monitor a machine or even to monitor staff in gas and oil moving around that space. Where it becomes complicated is when you talk about lighting. A lot more nodes. Retail. Retail is really an early adopter of smart technology because they're looking at I want to know where my customer is. I want to know how long they stand here because that's more important than energy. I don't really worry too much about the energy. That's a byproduct. For me, it's selling goods. So for them, a lighting system that acts as a beacon that enables them to triangulate where people are is quite intelligent. Now, that's nothing new. That's been around for a little while. But smart clothing, where embedded chip technology. I went to Euroshop a couple of weeks ago, and they have smart detectors built into devices so that you go into a supermarket, you have a tunnel, you're shopping through, it detects whether or not it's been through the tunnel, and you walk out, and pretty much you have a handful of people in the store. It doesn't really add to the experience of shopping, but it's where people see IoT going in the future. I'd argue that's not the right way. E-health, fitness prevention of diseases. This is something my wife gets involved in. And basically, this is the fact that we can't cope with the NHS. We send people home. We can use technology to monitor what they're doing. And we can use CCTV cameras. We can use smart devices and apps. Interestingly, I think last year we spent more on apps than we did in the previous 3 years. So apps are growing. Bearing in mind that apps really came only into the fore in about 2008, 1 year after the launch of the iPhone in 2007. Energy monitoring, absolutely marvellous. Smart metering, you don't know you're wasting it until you record it. But also pollution, the fact that we need to be monitoring what we're actually pumping into the atmosphere. I have a hybrid car. I will go full electric at a point in the future when the range is there. Unfortunately, the nature of my job means I travel a lot. But, I try to be green. Excuse me. Now, this is interesting. Gartner have forecast that by 2020, 20.8 billion connected devices. Now, I'm going to show you something else as well. If you take the next few slides, in 2020, IBM thought it was going to be $1 trillion. Then Ericsson said 50 billion, 50 billion by Cisco, 30 billion is going down, 75 billion by Morgan Stanley, 31 billion by Intel, 41 billion has gone up again, and it's gone down again, 20.8 billion. So the trend is no one really knows. And I think that's the truth of it all, is that it's going up and down like a yo-yo. But it's going to be a big number, all right? So that's the reality, is going to be a very big number. Now, that gives you opportunities, because suddenly it says, well, talking about Bluetooth and connectivity, everybody here has a phone. Everybody has Bluetooth connectivity. So in theory, you can connect to the Internet of Things. And that means you can control your lighting. But I don't want you to control your lighting. I don't want to allow you to control your lighting. I don't mind you controlling your local lighting. I don't want you to control the wider world. So this gives you a slide really of how, in about sort of the mid-noughties, there are more connected devices than people. So on this projection here, we're saying by 2020, we're talking about 6.5, 7 connected devices per individual. That's an awful lot of connected devices. But is that smart? And I'd argue, no. It just means there's an awful lot of devices. But our route to market, our business model is going to change. So again, Gartner's quite interesting. If you Google IoT, it's amazing. All sorts of nonsense out there. But it's a new economy. It's a new business model. Got to change. The model of the past won't be here. And I agree with that. You have to adapt. If you look at the lighting market, the lighting companies of 10 years ago are not the key lighting companies of today. The market's changed. New companies are coming to the fore. Big data. What is it? Well, I think this kind of sums up for me. You can read that while I have some more water. I love Dilbert. I think he sums up everything really that's right with the world. So I think it kind of sums it up really, that what is big data? Well, let's take the next slide. Here's a big data quiz. Right. So, excuse me for turning it back on you. Question 1. Every minute we send 204 million emails, generate 1.8 million Facebook likes, blah, 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 blah. Is that IoT or is that big data? Anyone? Show of hands. And who thinks it's IoT? Who thinks it's big data? Well, you've played this game before then. Second one then. 12 million RFID tags. And we're looking to move forward. Oh, I've hit the button. Sorry. That's IoT, by the way. All right. Third one. So is that a big data or is it IoT? So IoT or big data? There's only 2 people voting. Come on, people. Okay. Well, it's IoT. Last one. So who thinks it's IoT? And who thinks it's big data? Oh, you're not a very interactive audience, are you? Okay, big data. Well, it is big data. The important thing is with this, I can see you all, so there's no point in hiding behind the fact that I can't. There's a lot of confusion over tech. And if I'm a tech guy, I use it to confuse you because it makes me appear smarter than you. And in reality, I'm not smarter than you. Okay, IoT is about data, devices, and connectivity, which is what we've been doing for donkey's years with lighting control systems. Okay, it's no different. It's just different protocols. And data is about data. It's as simple as that. Now, the challenge is, so it's devices and it's data. What you are finding now is that people want to charge you for your data. They want you to pay for the information they generate from your business. I think that's wrong. I think it should be about giving you the tools to enable you to achieve what you need to achieve. So we look at the top 10 companies who, and there's lots of lists. I came across this list, and these are the top 10, but you're talking about Cisco, Intel. And I came across a company called Foghorn, which are a certain age, you'll probably know as Foghorn, Leghorn, but I'll move on. Amazon, Microsoft, everything with no I. I'm not quite sure what there's. Google, Tesla, and IBM. So these are IT companies. These are the top 10 companies. They're not lighting companies. They're not really offering commercial lighting technologies, but they're driving our market. Now, are they going to affect what we do in lighting? I'm not entirely convinced. So challenges. How do we specify lighting controls moving forward? Okay. What's our route to market? How do you award a contract for IoT? And who owns it? Who is responsible for that in operation? So let's look at how you specify it. So here is my idea of a very simple diagram of I have a client, I have an architect, he employs a contractor. He employs M&E contractor, electrical contractor. The architect may employ a lighting designer. And then you go down, down, down. I've got a luminaire manufacturer. I've got a controls company. I might have a systems integrator. And I've got a component supplier. Now, who is going to deliver my smart lighting system? Now, you might say it's him, but is he going to link through these guys to the HVAC, to the security system? I'm not entirely convinced he will. Where does the tech live? Well, interesting enough, it lives in the controls. It lives in the luminaire via the technology that goes in the luminaire. And you have this guy here who might be the integrator, but where he sits is questionable. But that's just a very loose framework. The challenge we have is that moving into smart lighting means that we have to rethink the specification process and who is responsible, because ultimately we live in silos. You do lighting, you do heating, you do ventilation, you do security, you do IT. Contractually, if you're a lighting man and you're responsible for switching on the HVAC, from a BMS point of view, few nodes. From a connected world, lighting is lots of nodes, lots of points. So we have to rethink how contracts are awarded. We have to rethink who's responsible for design. You have to educate these people, these people, these people. This guy wants, I want a green building. Deliver me a green building. But we've already pointed out, these guys have got green components. He's got a green system. The other people over here have got green technology. Who's going to pull it together? That's the challenge. Now, part of that, I don't know if you're aware of this organisation. I gave a talk a couple of years ago to them in Ireland, and they're trying to work really with governments to come up with a standard on IoT standardisation. Now, there's lots of standard related to the industries we work in. From a practical point of view, is how we link that into a wider environment, shall we say. It's critical that we rethink how we go to market. If you want smart lighting, it's already there. Smart lighting has been around for donkey's years. There's nothing new in lighting other than we've got some new technology, we've got enhanced wireless capabilities, but a luminaire is a luminaire. A switch is still a switch on the wall. With all the best will in the world, you could have a smart app on your phone. That's great. But you're not going to use your app and carry your phone around all the time to switch your lighting on. It doesn't matter if you're a 14-year-old or you're an 80-year-old. You still need a switch on the wall. You still need some kind of dumb interface. It hasn't got to be totally dumb. All right. I did a project in 2006 when I worked for Tridonic, excuse me, with Beckhoff and Microsoft, where we used biometrics and we linked the buildings together, and facial recognition software, harm prints, and it turned lights on and off and everything. So that was over 10 years ago, 11 years ago. So nothing's new. It was just very clunky then. Today, I can control my home hi-fi through an app. I can stream music. I don't buy music anymore. I stream it into my car. So my world has changed. So think about how you interact. Your smartphone is going to be a tool. It'll be a maintenance tool. It'll be a commissioning tool. It'll be elements of how we control the future of lighting. 5 minutes, yeah. 3, okay. So it's 5 then. What next? Partnerships. Okay, so really bringing up on this, it's important for me that the partnership between the various elements, no one company can deliver IoT. You can do it on a network level. You cannot do it on a system level. You have to rethink how you work collectively. For me, that is critical.